Morphegenix podcast is it's a podcast that interviews or talks with and has discussions with people in the agribusiness as well as the food industries. So our aim is to have discussions and interviews with people doing interesting things in those industries. So I'm very happy to have you as a guest today on the podcast.
So Charles, I'm really interested in finding about the aquaponics industry that you're in. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
That is correct. Aquaponics, yes.
Okay. What does that involve?
Aquaponics is the growing of produce using fish and water.
Okay.
Very, very, very simple. Now, when I say very simple, I guess from each individual perspective, it might, if you are of a scientific mindset or a scientific perspective, you could probably get into the biology and the science of aquaponics, but for what we do, what I do, and my understanding and what I have mastered is very simply the growing of produce using fish and water. Now, along with that comes taking good care of your fish, maintaining water quality. So that's basically what it is.
Excellent, excellent. And what produce do you produce from the farm?
I have an array of produce that I produce. I produce gourmet lettuce. I produce all of a lot of different types of herbs. I specialize in basil. I produce peppers, tomatoes, basically pretty much anything other than root vegetables, for the simple reason, as you know, root vegetables require a lot of space. Aquaponics, the way that I approach it, is meant to grow the maximum amount of produce in a very limited space. So the root vegetables I stay away from.
Right, okay. And when you say maximum amount of produce in a limited space, what kind of quantities or amounts are we talking about?
In a 4,000 square foot greenhouse, a 40 by 100 square foot greenhouse, I can grow easily 175,000 pounds of produce a year.
175,000 pounds of produce, okay.
Yes, easily.
Great. Okay. And how labor intensive is the operation, Charles?
It really isn't very labor intensive. One man can operate the operation. The size of one of my greenhouses, 40 by 4,000 square feet. It can be a one-man operation until you get to the harvesting of the produce. Now, the way that I have my greenhouses set up is that I harvest once a week. Therefore, I am harvesting 400 heads of lettuce a week. Now, that requires seedlings to be in place and to be growing in accordance with the end results, the producing of 200 to 300 heads of lettuce a week. You have to have seeds that are started at a certain point in time and that are grown or nurtured to a certain point in time, so that once I take out this week's harvest, I have next week's harvest a week away from being harvested.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. Okay.
So again, now that's not to say that the labor intensity, we have a lot of volunteers that we work with that take part in helping us to harvest. Harvesting is probably the most intense part of what we do, is harvesting the produce. But in terms of getting the produce from seedling to harvest, it's not very labor intensive at all.
Okay. All right. All right. Great. And you said the way that you approach it. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, first of all, aquaponics, even though you have a myriad of operations or a myriad of different type of operations. You've got people that are growing, well, that's hydroponics. They're growing in grow towers. I don't know, are you familiar with the grow towers, vertical growing?
Yes, I've come across it, yes.
Okay, yeah, you've got people that do that, but the way that we grow is very, very simple. Okay, let me see if I can explain it to you this way. If you ever noticed when you go to a lake, in any lake, around the perimeter of the lake, there's always greenery growing, okay?
Yeah.
There's always some type of vegetation growing.
Correct.
Now, the only thing in that water is the fish, okay?
Mm.
That's it. Some sort of aqua, some type of fish, or some type of creatures that are water friendly, if that's a good way to put it.
Yes.
Therefore, it's something that happens biologically between the fish and that particular lake that's causing all of the greenery that you see around the perimeter to grow and remain there.
Mm-hmm.
Is the interaction from the fish waste with the greenery, with the seaweeds or whatever that's growing in that particular lake. We approach it from that particular aspect. If you look at history, you go back 2,000 to 3,000 years, the Egyptians were doing it 2,000 to 3,000 years ago, and it was just fish and water. But they figured out the connection between the fish and the water, and they turned it into a food producing entity, okay? And that's the way we approach it. Now, with technology, technology has brought about a tremendous amount of change in what we do in terms of the automation, in other words, reinventing the wheel, making it more efficient to produce larger amounts of food in a shorter period of time to meet the demand of the consumer. My approach, I stay as close to basics as I possibly can. Just take good care of the quality of water, take good care of the fish in terms of what you feed the fish, the type of food that you feed the fish. Because you're in a controlled environment and the fish do not have their natural habitat from which to survive in their natural habitat. Okay, so we make sure we feed the fish and we feed them quality food, because the waste that they excrete now becomes the fertilizer for the plants, the produce, and that's what enhances the biology or the science of the produce growing in a quality way. Mm-hmm. That is the way we approach it. Now, do we do we totally disregard the technology piece of it? No, because there are some things that we do that automated fish feeding, which reduces some of the labor aspects of it. But that's what I mean about just keeping it really, really simple and paying close attention to the plants. The plants tell you a lot about their condition, the way they're growing, the pest that obviously ultimately is involved in any growing of any type of produce or whatever. You've got pests. Yes. The best pest management for us is allow the natural pests to take care of the pest management. In other words, if we have aphids, we allow ladybugs to take care of the pests. That way we don't get into using any type of herbicides or any type of pest retardants to take care of the pests. We keep it strictly as pure and as natural as we possibly can keep it.
Excellent. Okay, great. And Charles, in terms of herbicides, do you use any herbicides at all?
No.
Okay.
No need to. Because remember, you're in a controlled environment.
Right.
And if you allow the pests to destroy the pests, just natural order of nature, okay? Or what was going on before we invented herbicides and pesticides? Pests were killing pests, right? The most important part of aquaponics, for the way that we do it, is when you initially set up your growing environment, is to design, to have a detailed design process. In other words, are you going to grow to sell produce? Are you going to set up an environment to teach? Are you going to set up an environment where it's going to be volunteer intense, where you have a lot of people volunteering, and what is going to be the end result of those volunteers? Are they coming there to learn? Are they coming there just to help out or whatever? When you set up your initial greenhouse, to really sit down and think about the process, what you are going to, what will the end result be? Are you going to grow to sell to restaurants? Therefore, if you are, you set up your operation so it, as you grow and as you become larger, you have the ability to comply with certain Department of Agriculture standards. If you're planning on growing or having your produce labeled or stamped organic, that requires a totally different setup than it would take for just if you're growing just to have food for you and your family. So the initial setup design, the process of what's going to happen throughout your day, throughout your week, is extremely important. The orientation of the greenhouse, depending upon where you live. If you are living in a climate like I live in here in Colorado Springs, where we get 300 plus days a year of sunshine, I want my greenhouse to be oriented so I can take advantage of the rising of the sun overhead for a specific amount of time, to the setting of the sun, the orientation of the greenhouse, the space. If you're going to have, if you're thinking about becoming organically certified, you have to build your facility at that point to accommodate people with wheelchairs.
Right.
Just you have to accommodate workstations for various groups of people. You have to have so much space in between the aisles so you can harvest efficiently.
Right.
Okay, that's for us simple but very purposefully.
Absolutely. And Charles, who would you say is your customer or client base?
Well, initial part of our mission as a nonprofit organization, we donate 50% of everything we grow to needy families in the community that cannot afford to purchase organically grown produce. The remaining 50% we sell to retail, wholesale to different restaurants or different facilities, hospital or whatever. So my initial, my main or the demographic or that I focus on, I would say is, probably the retail business. Retail business would probably be our focus point from this perspective, to make sure that quality, to make sure that the process is one that will accommodate a very discerning purchaser, if that makes any sense.
Gotcha. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. And who would you say are your competitors, Charles?
I have no competition.
Okay, excellent.
I do not have any competition.
What makes you
no
say
competition?
that?
None whatsoever.
Okay.
No one can do it as well as I do.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. All right. So would you say that you've got no rivals in terms of the process? Is that correct?
No, because just like the different approaches, the process is an approach that would suit your organization, whatever your organization is. If you're a commercial greenhouse growing commercially, then set your greenhouse up to accommodate the commercial aspects of what you do. If you're a nonprofit organization like we are, then I do a lot of training. I do a lot of, I work with various groups that have missionaries that go all over the world, and they come and they learn, watch us, they work with us, they learn how to do aquaponics in a very, very basic way. And they take it back to different parts of the world that they're stationed in and that they're there to help. And so therefore, I set up my approach to accommodate that, to accommodate volunteers. We do a lot with different high schools, science programs. We do a lot of just regular volunteering. So therefore, our greenhouse not only has aquaponics, we do hydroponics. We have different types of aquaponics systems. We grow our tomatoes using a Dutch bucket system that works in conjunction with aquaponics, as opposed to growing tomatoes using hydroponics. Hydroponics is when you add the nutrients to the water and grow the produce using the added nutrients. With the aquaponics, the fish provide all of the nutrients that the plants need.
Right, okay.
So I set up all of the greenhouses to accommodate just a myriad of the people and the interests that we might get in our particular area, which is totally different than a commercial operation.
Correct. So you're saying that your operation would be different from a commercial operation. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, definitely, yes.
What are the differences?
Probably the technology that's employed by a commercial operation. Remember now, your commercial operation, you're trying to grow it as fast as you possibly can in as large a quantity as you possibly can and get it harvested as quickly as you can, because, whereas I might be working with 4 or 5 different restaurants or different organizations, facilities that purchase produce, you get a commercial operation. They've got to produce 8, 9,000, 1,200, 1,500 heads of lettuce a week. That requires a lot of space, a lot of automation, very labor intensive in terms of people overseeing an operation that size.
Absolutely. All
Quality of the water has to be monitored constantly. You have to build in certain fail safes to make sure that if you're having problems in one area with the water circulation, it does not shut down your entire operation.
Absolutely. Okay. Do you have is there any desire for you to go commercial, Charles?
That is a good question. No. At that point, I think that our effectiveness in the community would be altered to a point where at that point it's just about the money. I think with any opportunity there's a cost associated with any opportunity, whether that opportunity is to grow, to become larger, and larger does not always mean that you become more effective. It means that you become larger, because the details that are necessary to continue to produce quality at that point, I think, are compromised. My opinion, I think they're compromised for the sake of the end result, which is quantity.
Absolutely. Okay.
And that is not a good position to take an organization if you're looking for investors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. That's interesting. That's an interesting answer, Charles. Everybody's always wanting to be bigger, better, faster, stronger. But you're right. I think what you're saying is that the quality could be compromised. Is that correct?
In my opinion, it has to be. Let me throw this at you, okay? We nowadays, being certified organic is a big deal. Now, let me just logic and common sense. If you are a farmer and you have 10,000 acres and you're certified organic, okay? How long can you maintain that certification taking each harvest out of the soil? Okay, that soil is certified organic. And every time you harvest, don't you think you deplete the soil of its organic properties with each and every harvest that you do? Think about that. Each time you harvest a crop, if you're certified organic, that soil is not going to remain completely organic without some type of enhancements, amendments. You're going to have to go back and amend in some way. And when you start to amend the soil, you have to use man-made products to amend the soil. Therefore, the certified organic certification in its definition no longer exists. Think about that. How long can the soil keep producing organically without being amended? The quality has to suffer. Does that make sense?
Absolutely does. Absolutely does.
How long can one operation remain organic certified? Be definitively, technically true organic. To me, you have to amend the soil, keep it organic. And the amendments are man-made amendments. So therefore, it's no longer organic. Or do you, when you use the amendments, when you manufacture them, do you manufacture them in such a way that you can still add the necessary elements to the fertilizer that you're going to use to keep it organically certified? Is that possible? I don't think it's possible. Call it truly organic.
I see.
I don't.
Okay, great stuff. Charles, what do your customers, because I mean, they would probably be the best judge of this. Do your produce tomatoes, peppers, basil versus from a aquaponics farm versus the produce from a soil-based environment, so soil-based farm? How do the two stack up?
There's no comparison. No comparison. The aquaponics produce is superior in terms of taste, in terms of texture, in terms of the nutrients. It's no comparison. And I say that with a great amount of pride. No comparison. There is no comparison. And I say this, you have not tasted a tomato until you taste an aquaponics grown tomato. The tomatoes that if you shop in a supermarket, even if you buy organic, okay, what's labeled or certified organic, you have not had a tomato until you've had an aquaponics tomato or lettuce, aquaponics lettuce or basil. The texture, the nutrient value. I feed my fish a blend of organic fish food that I have had specially formulated for the type of fish that I use. I use tilapia and barramundi. And I have worked with a company here in the States for a while on putting together a formulation that best suits each specific species of fish that I use. And that's all that I feed them. Is that organic fish food. Therefore, I find, this is me personally, I find that the quality of the produce that you should, just in the color, you haven't seen a really, really deep green head of lettuce like I produce. You don't see it in supermarkets. It's usually white and a very, very light green lettuce, regardless of the variety, the different types of lettuce. I mean, it's something about that natural interaction between the fish and the water that it makes a tremendous difference.
Brilliant.
If you get an opportunity to find someone that's growing produce aquaponically, go and purchase some of their lettuce and go back to your local supermarket and purchase a couple of heads of lettuce and sit down, and you'll know the difference immediately.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Now I'm getting hungry as we speak. Okay. Charles, why do you farm?
Why do I farm? I have a passion. I have a passion for the essence of nature, meaning this: take a seed, a small seed, you put it in the proper environment, and you do nothing but sit back and wait for it to grow. And in the meantime, you're giving that seed, as it grows, all of the nurturing that it takes. You're not trying to speed up the process. You're not trying to alter the process at all. You're just letting it do its thing. To me, the essence of nature in a growing organism is absolutely just mind-blowing to me. And it's the way it has taught me, being involved in this, there's a better way to approach my life. And that is get out of my own way and let nature do what it does the way it does it, and just be there to do whatever nature requires me to do to help it along. To know when it's ready, to know when it's sick, what I can do to help it when it's sick. The essence of just that natural process is what got me involved with aquaponics. I mean, it taught me to be patient. It taught me to be very, very observant. It taught me to be inquisitive. It taught me to go looking for answers, not just an expedient answer, but an answer that would pay dividends down the road, an answer that had broader ramifications than just taking care of a situation in the moment. That's what it has taught me. And as I allowed myself to step back and absorb all of that, I became more and more passionate about the process. I'm a process guy, okay? The process, a soldier. I mean, you point me in the right direction, you tell me what needs to be done, and you let me go and do it. That's me. And it has in such a wonderful, magnificent way, something so basic and simple,
Okay.
given me a life's lesson.
Excellent. No, that's wonderful, Charles. Charles, tell me about the business. What challenges are you facing in the business at the moment, and how are you handling those?
The challenges is that we have been very, very successful. We have our concept, we have proven to a point where we're needing to grow, we're needing to become, okay, and it gets back to our, that initial question you asked me, do I want to become a commercial entity? No, and I said, no, I don't want to become a commercial entity. I just want to become the best at what I do right now. And being the best at what I do right now requires that I scale it up. In other words, start enhancing some of the processes. In other words, to create more dedicated growing environments. Means I need additional greenhouses to make it even more community friendly. I need a larger piece of land to do some things to enhance our training that we do as an organization. I need to incorporate more technology in what we're doing to attract more people. In other words, to be able to understand as our society and as our lives progress and move forward, in order to do what we do, we have to move with that. In other words, the technology aspects, okay? I want to be able to put together programs that I'll be able to do Zoom calls with kids that have at one point in time come to our facility and volunteered, and they show an interest to keep up with those kids and to make that initial experience, to make it available to them if and when they want to continue to pursue it. And in order to do that, we have to get a larger piece of land. We have to add a couple of more greenhouses, and we have to step up our teaching, which means that we have to expose more people to what we're doing. And I want to do this in an organic way. I don't want to do it as as a result of a huge marketing campaign. I want it to be very organic. In other words, I want you to come and be so fascinated by what you see that you want to come back.
Absolutely. Great, and just going back to the inputs that you use, you've spoken about the fish. Where does the water come from that you use?
The water, initially, when we set up a system, an aquaponics system, where we're located at here in Colorado Springs, I will get. We normally need in 2 1,000-gallon fish tanks. It would probably require about 3,600 gallons of water. I will get the local fire department to come out and initially fill up our fish tanks for us, to fill up the entire system. Now, at that point, it takes about 30 to 45 days for that water to be circulated to reach the pH levels that are necessary in order to add the fish to the water. In other words, we have to create an environment that is environmentally friendly for the fish. We have to maintain 70-degree temperature in the water. So I'll let the water circulate over 30, 45 days before we even add fish to it, in order to bring the pH levels up to where we need the pH levels to be to introduce the fish to the water.
Right, okay. And how do you decide which products to grow?
How do I decide? I go to a supermarket and I'll see what they have, and I will just decide to grow something better than what's in the local supermarket. Okay.
Right.
If you're selling a lot of iceberg lettuce, I don't want iceberg. I want lettuce. I want butterhead lettuce. Any type of gourmet lettuce that is not available in the local supermarkets.
Okay.
That's how I decide.
Okay. Excellent. And what is the best advice that you can give to someone starting out in aquaponics, Charles?
Sit down and make sure you have a plan up front initially. When you decide to grow, make sure that you know why you want to grow what you want to grow. If you want to grow just to feed your family, then plan a system that would accommodate just your family. If you're planning to grow, say you're a community garden and you want to offer not only growing from the soil, but you want to offer an alternative of aquaponics, then sit down and plan, think through the process that you're going to use, the process that you're going to employ, and design a program around that particular operation that would accommodate your ultimate goal. In other words, if you're going to have a lot of high school kids involved, if you're going to set up a facility at your local high school, think through in meticulous detail and result in how you want to get there.
Right, okay. And Charles, take me through a typical workday. What does that typical workday look like?
A typical workday for me is starting with I have my seedling area where I start my seeds. I go to the seedling area and I make sure that everything that's needed to be put into the system is ready to go in the morning. At that point, we usually harvest on a Thursday. I'll make sure that everything is in place for the Thursday harvest, meaning I've got volunteers in line, I've got all of the necessary equipment that I need for the harvest in place. I'll make sure that my fish, I'll make my rounds and make sure all of the fish are happy, and I've got the right music playing in the greenhouse to keep the fish happy. I'll make sure I'll check each and every plant in the different grow beds to make sure that they are looking like they're healthy, they're happy. I'll make sure that the ladybugs are doing what they need to do. I'll make sure I've got enough of them flying around, taking care of the pests. And at that point, I go in and I get on the computer and I started, if I've got entries from the previous day, I'll make the entries from the previous day. I'll look at the schedule and see if we have any tours coming through. I'll look at the schedule and see if we have any volunteers scheduled for that particular day and what areas I'm going to put them in. I don't want them to come, the volunteers, to come in and not have anything to do. I want them to go right to work, doing what we need help in that any particular area. And that is pretty much my typical day.
Excellent.
I will check around. I will check with the people that are buying from me wholesale. I call daily basis, just to say, hey, how you doing? Hope you're well. You need anything? If how are we doing? Are we, getting to you what you need to have to, are you satisfied with us as a vendor? That's my day.
Excellent. And the industry itself, Charles, what are the biggest challenges facing the industry as a whole?
I think right now, probably one of the most important things, in my opinion, is the Department of Agriculture. The organic certification that so many people work very hard to get, which is, as you know, a very, very tremendous selling piece. The Department of Agriculture are still using outdated methods to certify different types of farming. In other words, the certification process for organic right today, as we speak, is based strictly upon growing out of the soil. Okay? The Department of Agriculture or the local state agriculture departments need to look at certifying alternative growing methods like aquaponics. Okay? You have some independent agencies that will certify you organic, but it doesn't come from the Department of Agriculture. They're just independent agencies. And I think if that's done, it will make consumer confidence go up to the next level in terms of aquaponically grown produce. And it would be a great enhancement to the industry itself if they would look at certifying alternative growing methods, aquaponics, hydroponics. That would be tremendous, in my opinion.
Okay, excellent. All right. Charles, thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed being with you, as I thought I would. Yeah, you were a wealth of information. Do you ever grow medical cannabis? Is that something that you do in your greenhouses?
You know what? I have been approached to do that, and I don't know enough about the cannabis industry to really involve myself in it at this point. It is something that is really big, but me involving myself in my growing method with it, I don't know enough about it, to really, really, really get involved with it. I'm not that familiar with it.
Okay, excellent. Really pleasure speaking with you, and I hope to be in touch pretty soon.
Take care. Be well.